What's great, good people? I hope you guys are doing well today. I am so excited about this video. I'm going to be super vulnerable today, super transparent. I'm hoping that you guys will stay till the end. I'm still not going to make it too long of a video, but I love to learn things visually. I'm a hands-on person, and some of you out there may learn that way. And so I'm going to show you what grief can look like whenever you do what I've done for years, and that's compartmentalize my grief. After my mom passed away in 2018, I did what some people I'm sure do, and that's just to put on this air of I'm okay. I wanted to continue on working hard. I wanted to continue on taking care of my children, and I just didn't want to take the time to process grief. Why? I felt like if I really sat there in my thoughts about the fact that my mom was no longer on this earth and I would never see her physically again, then I would go crazy. I told myself, you can't focus on that. You can't put too much thought into it. Just keep working hard, keep going through life, let everybody know you're okay, you're good. And so that led to a life of compartmentalization. So much so, I didn't take the time to help my son to grieve, who I now know was and is struggling with his grandmother, my mother's death. And that could have taken a wrong turn had I not noticed my behavior. In other videos, I let you guys know that we have to live paycheck to paycheck as grievers. What does that mean? That means take time to pay yourself attention, check on your emotions, see how you're feeling. Think about, how do I feel today? If I'm angry, why am I angry? You have to take the time to literally live paycheck to paycheck. And I don't mean financially, I mean emotionally, physically, all of those things that we sometimes ignore when we're going through grief. And I don't want to make this a gender thing, but I noticed that men do this a lot when they grieve. They just put everything to the side and they're like, I'm good, I'm tough, I'm strong. I don't have time to deal with grief. I don't have time to look weak or vulnerable. And as we know, that's not always healthy. And that's not the topic that I wanted to talk about today. I want to go ahead and jump in on what the topic is, but I wanted to preface the video and the subject matter because I did compartmentalize grief for a number of years. That caused lots of layers upon layers upon layers. And sometimes we have to remove those layers, a little bit at a time. You have to take the time that you need to remove the layers, but we do want to move forward in our grief, not on, but we want to move forward in grief. And how do we do that? Sometimes we have to take off some of the layers. Now, in the African American community, and I'm not going to say this is just specific to, my culture as an African American, but it is a very popular thing to wear what we call a protective hairstyle. So what I have on today is considered a protective hairstyle. No, this is not my hair. I'm not even going to say I wish it was. This is a beautiful wig that actually I made myself. You guys may or may not know I've been a hairstylist for a while. So I have other wigs on in my other videos. And again, we call these protective hairstyles. What does that mean? So that means we're trying to protect what's underneath. We're protecting our natural hair. We're putting on something that can prevent heat damage, damage from the elements. It protects our hair from chemicals and a variety of other things. So if we put on like extensions or if we get braids or wigs or things that protect our hair, then we don't deal with our natural hair. We just kind of put it to the side and we're just not going to deal with it. Our protective hairstyle is what's going to get the most attention at the time. This right here is just a little design that I cut in my hair. I'll change that up from time to time. What does a protective hairstyle do? At the end of the day, it's covering up what we're uncomfortable dealing with. It's covering up what we don't want to see. It's covering up something that's underneath that we can kind of put on hold. When it comes to grief, a lot of times we put on a protective layer. We don't want to deal with grief. We don't want to expose what's underneath. We don't want anyone to see what we're going through, what we're feeling. And so we protect ourselves with our own emotions. What does that mean? What does that look like? So let's go back to the word compartmentalize. If we choose to compartmentalize and cover up our grief, we don't have to deal with it. That's what I did for so many years, and it was so unhealthy. Guys, I can't make you do anything. I can't tell you, what you have to do, but I can let you know that it is so unhealthy. Compartmentalizing grief for me has caused so many lingering things to go on. Like, I'll just name one right now, and that's short-term memory loss. Like, sometimes, even like you guys may notice, I may stop like I just did, and I'm searching for a word that I know, but because I've compartmentalized so much and I have suppressed so much, when I go to pull out certain words or certain thoughts, I have compartmentalized my thoughts to where I can't think of simple tasks or simple words, and that's not healthy. So I'm working on, reading more, researching more to try to get some of these words back in my head that got compartmentalized along with the grief that I was trying to suppress. So that's just one of many things that can cause, unhealthy, what's the word? Unhealthy results is what I'm trying to say. If you've compartmentalized for a long period of time. So today I'm going to do exactly what I promised. I want to show you a visual of what it looks like to remove my protective hairstyle and what can be seen underneath. What can we get out of removing the layers in the compartmentalizing and the protection, these unhealthy walls, all of the things that we do when we're hiding our grief or not dealing with our grief. And so in the next segment that I'm going to shift over to, I'm going to actually remove my protective hairstyle, and I'm going to show you guys what's underneath. Now, once I do that, this is not to say that I'm not ever going to wear another protective hairstyle. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to resort back to wearing a wig or extensions or braids or anything like that. Because why? Sometimes we have a bad day. Sometimes we aren't feeling the best. Sometimes our hair is not presentable, and the quick thing to do is to cover it back up. So there are going to be videos where you may see me without my protective hairstyles, and there may be videos that you'll see me with it. And so I just hope you'll take the meat and spit out the bones and just kind of understand what I'm trying to convey to you guys. All right, so stay tuned. The next time you see me, it will be without my protective hairstyle. So here I am with the second part of the video, and I have removed my protective hairstyle. We talked about how we use like coverings and wigs to protect our hair, and it's very similar to like what's underneath when you're grieving and things that you've layered on top of yourself or on top of your thoughts or on top of your emotions to cover up how you're feeling underneath. If I pull them up, you can kind of see what's underneath. I can move them around. And so, I've done a lot of research before I decided to go on this lock journey. And when I went and did my research and I looked at other people's reviews and then their take on the locks and their journeys, oh my gosh, there were so many different looks. There were so many different lengths. There were so many different colors. The thickness was different. I mean, it was like literally so much to choose from. And so I had to choose my own way, what I thought worked for me, what worked for my head shape. So you may look at my locks and you may say, I don't like that. I don't like how they look, or they're not that long. And even comparing my lock journey to other people, like some of them said, oh, I've been growing mine for a year. And when I looked, because I had been growing mine for a year, theirs was much longer. Some people's locks were a little bit shorter. And that's okay. Everybody's journey is going to be unique to their journey. If you look straight ahead, like for example, if you look at my hair, it looks like, my hair is really short. But if I go to pull it out and I expose to you or show you what's underneath, then you'll see that my hair is actually longer than it appears. So sometimes you can look at people and you think one thing and you're like, her grief journey is this, or, oh, she should be doing this or that. And you're not really knowing or understanding what's underneath. I'm going to show you guys one more thing, and I hope you'll just kind of hang in there with me. But before I do that, I want to let you know, so on your journey, you still have to do things. Like I notice now, I'm going to put pictures on here for you guys to see where I started. When I first started, there was no movement. Literally, my locks seemed to me to be stuck. I did not want to continue the journey because I felt like it just wasn't moving fast enough for where I wanted to go. I was trying to rush the process. I wanted mine again to look like other people's. And one day I had to literally tell myself, take it one step at a time, one day at a time, trust the process, trust the journey. You know, these people didn't just get here overnight. They had to go through their own process. What did they do to get there? I'm not really sure, but follow your own journey and your process. And what I started to do was I started to add more conditioners, more oils, more moisturizers, doing things that I needed to do to keep my own hair in good condition. And so now I see there's movement. Like I'm not as stuck as I was before. Now it's not a lot of movement, but as you can see here, it shakes. Like if I show you the lock that I had starting off, it was like way up here. Now I can actually pull on it and you guys can see this one actually comes down to my chin. The growth to other people may not look like you're getting anywhere. They may say, well, you know, why aren't you moving? Why are you stuck? You should be over this by now. But they don't understand like your process. And so because of that, you have to continue on your journey the way that you see fit. If you take a look at this side of my hair, it looks like it's a little bit shorter. So this side is growing at a slower pace. This side, for some reason, seems to be growing a little bit faster. It's flourishing a little bit more. That's okay. The front of my hair sometimes takes a little longer than the back and the sides, but that's okay. It's growing. It's still moving. You know, as long as it's progressing, I'm good with that. What I wanted to say to you before I get to this last point and go ahead and close it out, I was vulnerable enough to show you part of my journey and what I wanted you guys to know about my hair. If I were to expose everything, that may put me in a space that doesn't make me comfortable. So although I have showed you aspects of my hair, I've showed you aspects of my life, I've opened up to you and told you different things about my journey, I may not want to share everything. There may be areas that you don't want to share with everyone. Some years ago, I had a style done to my hair and it actually caused some trauma. I had to go to a doctor and I had to get some steroids and things done. If you were looking at my hair straight on, you would never know. Like I said, I exposed certain areas to you, but I didn't expose everything. If I were to bend down and show you this part of my hair, and if I were to open up this part of my hair, you would see that it is a few spots there that are missing. So I choose to keep that covered. I'm not going to uncover that layer for you guys to see. That's something that I would like to keep to myself. And again, there are going to be times where you're not going to want to expose all of your grief. You're not going to want to be vulnerable to everyone about your grief. I don't choose to expose that part of my hair. Maybe one day I'll feel comfortable showing it, but right now I choose to keep this part covered up. I choose to show you the layers that I'm comfortable showing you. The part here where, you know, I took time to style it. I took time to put some blue in here. If you guys know, my mom's brand color was blue. So I chose to put a few pieces of color in here because every time I look at that blue, I know this is to represent my mom. And so that's that, right? And you may be saying, well, I thought you were removing layers. And you would be correct. So I am removing layers, but every now and then you may just have a bad hair day. Same thing with grief. There may be days where you're just not feeling it. There may be days where you're just not wanting to talk to people. You're not wanting to open up. You're not wanting to expose what's going on with you. You may just be in a shell that day. So I just wanted to end the video with that, just letting you know you're human. Nothing's wrong with you. Grief is an incredibly challenging process. Grief it's difficult. I wanted to really be vulnerable with you guys today and show you how grief can look. Hopefully this was helpful. And guys, if no one told you today that they love you, first and foremost, remember, God loves you and so do I. Until next time, I hope that you will subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and share this with someone that you may think it can help. See you sooner.